morning and welcome. We are live. Happy Monday, everybody. It's Chris Denman in St. Louis. The dancing lunatic next to me is our intern, Tommy, the intern, smiling. Live from Brooklyn, New York, it's Travis Terrell in apartment. Hello, Mr. Terrell.
It is an honor and a blessing to be with you all this morning.
We'll get to your fair fouls and other segments in just a moment. Let's say hi to the producer, curator of streams, captain of aggressive OCD with a bad attitude, Chris Gardner, everybody.
No, Travis.
I don't even know anymore,
Starts
man.
the show like that in a half hour. You're just gonna be yelling about everything.
Oh yeah. So if
I am.
if you're just listening,
I'm fired up about this weekend. This weekend pissed me off.
It's just
boy, I love to see what really sets him off.
Good morning, gentlemen, in St. Louis. Good morning, my calm revolutionary brother in Brooklyn, for now.
Mm-hmm.
And good morning, Walnuts. Hope you had a good Walnut weekend.
Walnut weekend, everybody. Walnut weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Travis, we're going to do face-off today. That's always a lot of fun. We'll do some fair or foul, maybe even a melee.
Face off. Face off.
That's good.
There it is.
Oh, Nicolas Cage is getting better.
I like the side profile you did there.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
That was good for the video listener. That's premium content. We're gonna have to start charging extra for that. Travis.
Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need to just dive right in and understand. Despite your namaste greeting, what's the source of your rage for the weekend that prompted 943 group texts, 7,000 tweets, and God knows how many rats stomped on in the streets of New York?
Sometimes I'm sad I'm not in the group text, and then I hear stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I guess we
I'm
could
good.
start one with you, but you're not going to miss anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't
bear
need to get the
with me.
balloon
I
emoji.
I don't know why my stream is being weird this morning, so
Just this
I may
morning.
not be able to rant until later.
Oh.
So I'm gonna wait till the speed catches up with my camera because I don't want to be rudely interrupted by technology. So
Gotcha.
let's just go. We can move forward. You guys do your thing on the rundown, and once the stream starts to catch up, I'll jump in with a rant.
Well, you rant away. Fair or foul today. Athletes coming home is your topic. Based on the weekend, Mr. Albert Pujols came home to St. Louis, where he does live in the off season, so it is his home. Came home, large reception, both locally and nationally. And we're going to do that for our fair foul topic, athletes coming home, or athlete homecomings. Gardner, can I get a ruling?
Yeah, let's go with athlete homecoming.
Yeah, that's right. Athlete homecomings. So that's your fair or foul topic. We'll give you $10 to Southtown Pub if you happen to win. So you'll email WAL at weareliveradio.com. For the melee, I think we need to keep on the same topic, and we'll get to that in just a bit. But Gardner, did you keep a close eye on the weekend here in St. Louis with Albert Pujols coming back? There were some emotional moments, which of course you immediately looked past, and you looked to the self-congratulatory nature of things. Tommy, you attended one of the games. I think we all had our own little slice of it.
I did not technically attend the game.
There's no technically either you attended or not.
I didn't attend, but my dad was giving me play-by-plays as I was going, and he FaceTimed when Albert Pujols
Which comic
first
book
came out.
were you reading?
What?
Well,
What was I doing while he was there? I think I was at home writing. I think I was writing.
I've been productive.
Yeah.
So you missed out on
Trying to fix buyer's remorse.
hashtag Pujols weekend, hashtag BFib self-gratification convention, as I was calling it.
Who came up with that?
I just was referencing it as that.
What exactly happened?
Well, actually, it's funny you asked, Tommy. We have a few clips here that we can take a look at. Travis, you'll want to listen closely because I'm sure you missed out on some of it.
He shook his head up and down and looked like the Flash going really fast.
So Albert Pujols returns to St. Louis, his first at-bat in Busch Stadium since he left 8 years ago. here it was.
Batting fifth, number 5, first baseman, Albert Pujols.
Still going.
Starts for a minute.
This is pretty great. Guy gives his heart for 11 years here, plays Hall of Fame baseball. Hall of Fame catcher giving him a hug. Fires the crowd up even more.
Apparently he was crying.
Had to have been.
Okay, back here soon.
Still going.
And Pujols lifts a fly ball out to center. And the catch made by Bader.
I don't think anybody
Okay,
would have...
can I jump in now? I want to preface this. That was a very cool moment.
Yes.
I absolutely enjoyed that. That was worth it. Like, that was absolutely deserved. And again, if I continue to be choppy and I screw this all up, please forgive me. I swear. I don't know why my internet doing this morning, but I did think that was a really, really cool moment. And even a brother all the way in Brooklyn felt that, felt the energy in the stadium, thought that moment was absolutely necessary. I loved it.
Did his stream freeze?
I don't think
he seems to be holding back.
Why is he smiling like that? He's waiting.
I'm not. I just want it to be known that I thought that ovation was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought the ovations on Sunday were awesome. I thought the ovations on Saturday were amazing.
Well, speaking
I'm
of
still on the
Saturday.
fence. Okay, yeah. You want to fast forward to Saturday?
Speaking of Saturday, Albert put on a little show at one of those at-bats and got a reception from the B-Fib. Oh, did he get a reception from the B-Fib?
Now, what is the B-Fib?
The best fans in baseball.
Okay.
And the 2-1 pitch to Albert Pujols. Albert hits it a ton out to deep left. He gave us 11 years of memories we'll never forget. He's just given us another.
Yeah. Look at that. For an opposing player. Oh, Yachty throws dirt at him.
Was that groove fun? He just hit a home run.
Oh, Dakota Hudson?
And it's not like...
Look at Mike Trout.
There it is.
Oh, boy. And then this happened.
Curtain call for an opposing player hitting a home run.
Fantastic.
So you have issues with this?
Fantastic.
Now, I don't have major issues with that. I grimace a bit. I grimace a lot, actually, at the thought of a curtain call for a visiting player. However, if you were to make exceptions for the rules, I'm okay with you making Albert that one. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but I don't totally hate that. The home run and the ovation was cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Curtain call, I'm on the fence. But again, thought it all was necessary, even if I didn't agree with the curtain call.
Okay. That's very measured and reasonable.
Yeah, your internet stream must be affecting your ability to scream and throw fits. I don't feel right now.
No,
I think you've already alluded to it. Chris has alluded to it. Gardner, you alluded to it in our group text. And even talking with our former producer and good friend Michael Gaines about it online. I think it is the self-gratification of it all. First of all, is it truly sincere if the first reaction after giving Pujols that ovation is to worry about the thoughts of others outside of St. Louis, I think it's fair to question your sincerity, because it shouldn't be about the people who don't know the story. It should be about how you feel about the individual and his relation to the city and the organization. Why do you concern yourselves with the opinions of others who don't care to begin with? That's what I don't understand with St. Louis. That's what I don't understand with B-Fibs. It makes no sense for you to care about people who don't give two shits about you anyway. So why are you wasting your energy concerning yourselves with their opinions on the way you treat players? I don't get it. I don't get why St. Louis needs validation from other sources to know that they're good people.
I have no argument.
Again, something's going on.
No, I
was
thought
somewhat
the weekend
coherent.
was dope. I really did. I did think the weekend was amazing. Yeah. And again, not even being there, I felt that. I wanted that to happen. I said it on Friday. I thought we should absolutely be giving the biggest ovations to Albert Pujols, but your reasoning behind it should be because he meant a lot to you and your fandom, not that it's a way to prove national sports writers wrong, not so you can piss off the fans in Pittsburgh and Chicago and LA.
Or stay on
brand. It should be because exactly. So that's my thing. I feel like St. Louis has to seek validation from places outside of St. Louis to feel like they're doing something special. And I wish they would get over that, because you're going to be disappointed every time. People in other cities have their own shit going on. They do not care. They do not care to understand. So why spend so much time and energy worried about what they think?
I'm often conflicted, and I look at this as being conflicted in a way too, because it's got insecurity in it, but also narcissism in it. And so it's kind of weird. It's like, oh, can those two really live together? Well, apparently so.
Yeah,
apparently so.
Yeah, you've met me.
And so, like, I have no problem with any of the ovations or anything like that. And, like, I agree with you, Travis. It was special and it was fun to watch. Like, I could feel myself just sitting there smiling while watching this go down. Did it get to be over the top at times? Yes.
Sure.
That's when I think it gets to be, hey, we got to stay on brand here. The national television cameras are on us. Let's make sure we be the B-Fib, and we let everyone know. And I even put a poll out. I was wondering if it was going to get so bad that if Mike Trout hit a home run, that they were going to give him a standing ovation to show just how good of fans they are. And also knowing, hey, he's a free agent in a couple of years, and maybe we could say that this pointed to us. We got him to come here.
Right.
Now, the results, I was curious to how the results might go. I said, will the B-Fib give Mike Trout a standing ovation if he hits a home run at Busch Stadium? 71% said no. 29% said yes. I was disappointed to not test that theory. I was really hoping on Sunday Night Baseball that he would hit one so that we could actually get a look-see at it and see what might have happened. But unfortunately, for me and my narcissism, that did not work out for me.
That didn't work out.
But my thing is, like, I don't have no problem with the celebration of that in a person like that, and the fans do make it special. What I'm going to find annoying is hearing about it 10 years from now still. That's the part that it's not the now, it's the what lies ahead that is going to get to me. That's what'll be like.
That's
okay.
tough to.
And let's put it. Oh, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
It's tough to disagree with as well, because I'd give that as good a chance as anything for that to happen, and then people don't even realize that they're doing it.
Yeah.
And then if you call it out, you're a jerk who doesn't like. Nobody said.
I was talking about this with a bartender at my local watering hole. He goes, "Oh, you're just looking for clicks." I go, "Trust me, I don't. If I want to do clicks, I'll post a video of Sean dancing if you want clicks."
Which we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But,
but it was just a few. It was a few tweets. And I like his Twitter. It's fine. Matt Seebeck, I know he works at Worldwide, and there are a few other local St. Louis personalities that I do follow on Twitter and social media. And I understand their sentiment. I think they're proud of what's taking place in St. Louis. So I'm not necessarily questioning their sincerity. It feels hollow when people point to things like this and then extrapolate the feelings and behavior of an entire city. That's just a moment. That's a small snapshot. That's 40,000 people inside of a stadium. That's, 16,000 people maybe at Enterprise celebrating the Stanley Cup. But let's all put that into proper perspective. Let's not make shockwaves by saying, well, now you can see that St. Louis is on the move. It's a baseball game, bro. It's a Stanley Cup championship, bro. It's not moving mountains. Stop making sports move mountains. You're going to set yourself up for disappointment every time. So it's just annoying. So I guess if the Cardinals and Blues aren't winning, nothing good is going on in the city. It's just so weird that we hang on tight to that when we've been disappointed by it so many times.
What if, I'm going to reverse this a little bit. What if somehow, some way, maybe get light out of there, St. Louis City government fixed things and they had a budget surplus and things were rolling along and population was growing in the city, but the Blues and Cardinals were losing? Would it just be, oh, this city, oh shit, what are we gonna do?
Exactly.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That is insane to think about. But that's what happens when you wrap your identity up in sports so much. And it's an that's the biggest entertainment probably.
But I think Abby
I shouldn't say that because I think Forest Park is the biggest entertainment in the city. It just isn't.
Agree.
It just isn't. There isn't there's sports talk radio. There isn't park bench radio. Wait a second.
Oh, wow.
Wait a second.
We've just lost Gardner to his own idea.
Park radio. Oh.
There it is. And you know what? You can drive through that park?
Thing.
Oh.
Customized golf carts.
There it is.
That's right. GetawayCarts.com. That's right. Getaway Carts. They're here for you. Guys, do we like customizing?
Uh-huh.
Without limits. That's right. Be sure to check out GetawayCarts.com. See all their Blues-themed carts they have for sale. That's right. You can make it happen. And you can check them out online. You can get your cart, drive them around the neighborhoods that you live in. Maybe you live on the Hill. Maybe you're in Benton Park, Cherokee Street, wherever you're at, you want to get around in style, customize without limits. Check out GetawayCarts.com for more information. And check them out. They're a local business right here in St. Louis that supports us here on We Are Live.
Look, I think you want to be on the right side of history. You want to be the good guy in the story. You want to be the hero. I understand the desire to make St. Louis this wondrous city, and there are wondrous people that do live and work and do amazing things inside that city. I think we need to also spend as much energy and time giving our money and resources to those, because it also positively reflects well on our city. Our education positively reflects well on our city. Our crime positively reflects on what people think of our city. Our government and its structure and infrastructure and bridges and the whole nine, that also positively reflects well on our city and our quality of life. Let's use that energy that we put focused on the Blues and the Cardinals. Let's also share that with everyone else in the city if you're wanting to brag about how great St. Louis is. Now, if you're deep down inside, don't give a shit, then that's fine. Then say that. But it feels as if the only time people who don't even live in the city want to brag about St. Louis is when these sporting franchises are doing extremely well. And then all of a sudden the city is amazing.
From Danny in the comments, we are a high school city. We care about whatever others think of us.
That's fair.
Tommy's confused.
It's very true.
I'm not confused. I'm annoyed.
At?
I think he's generalizing a lot.
In what way?
Okay. Where?
I think we had this discussion before. I don't think it's wrong for people to be excited about sports, first of all.
You're right.
Second of all, I don't think that's all people get excited for, and I think you're wrong when you say that the only time you hear people talk about stuff happening in St. Louis is when it's sports related, which isn't true. We have a great music scene, we have a great comedy scene. Mm-hmm. We have other stuff than sports, and to say that they were not putting on a show but doing extra for Pujols, I think is also not that fair, because
I think they were.
Pujols also does a lot for the city.
Yeah,
He still does.
you're
But
correct.
And he didn't. He
Tommy, to
didn't.
be honest, he didn't leave on those terms. Let's reveal that time heals all wounds. Fans did not feel that way about Albert Pujols when he decided to do what was best for him and his family for several years after he left St. Louis. A lot of fans were very pissed off at Albert Pujols. They said so on
Some
talk
still
radio.
are.
People, yep, and people are still are. So let's not act as if though it was, oh, we understand Albert. It's all good now. That took time. The Cardinals basically being able to be successful in the interim while Albert's been gone. Let's sugarcoat this. Let's not sit up here and pretend as if St. Louis was just genuinely rolling over for Albert Pujols when he left for California.
I was under the impression that he didn't necessarily leave because he wanted to, but he left because not the union or whatever. Something was telling him, hey, if you take this, teams are more likely to pay players more in the future. So it was.
Oh, that's every star in
That
baseball
was
No, and that
does
was-
feel
was
that
what
pressure.
that was what I was under the impression of. So I don't think he left because he necessarily wanted to. And I do think you're right. I think a lot of people still are mad. I just don't know if everybody was as mad as you think they were. Because I
just-
remember when he left.
Yeah.
Nobody in my
I
family
remember
was
people
upset.
burning jerseys. I remember that
That
being
was
on TV.
Yeah,
I
but
remember
like-
That was an
jerseys being
insane-
burned.
Yeah, but like
that was a
People-
But you're
minority.
telling me, are you guys seriously telling me that when Albert Pujols left, by the way, that narrative was created by people within the Cardinals organization to make it as if they gave a justified offer to Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols has stated on the record that the Cardinals came up short with their offer, and he was very
287 million.
disappointed in the Cardinals. I'm going by what Albert Pujols has said. He
I
said
know.
specifically he was disappointed by the Cardinals offer, and he felt more appreciated by Artie Moreno and the Anaheim Angels. That's why he took that deal. That's what Albert Pujols has said consistently on the record. But as you just pointed out, there were narratives easily created about Albert Pujols being selfish or Albert Pujols not doing what's best for him, and he was pressured into taking contracts because of the union. Those narratives were created by St. Louisans because St. Louisans were pissed off that he went to California. So let's also remember it's been 8 years since Albert's been back. Everyone's had a chance to completely think about the situation as a whole, and they're coming off less than a week of winning the Stanley Cup. There's no reason for St. Louis sports fans to be pissed off right now. They just did something they haven't done in 51 years. So let's take it all into account before we come to certain conclusions.
And I would say with the contract stuff, when that happened, you still, even with comments made by Pujols, the
How much
organization.
did they give him?
The Angels?
Yeah.
I can't remember
look
exactly.
it up.
The Cardinals weren't offering.
think
287
They
million.
did not offer that much money.
Yes.
I know that.
They
for
did
a
not.
fact.
See?
I think
They did
Hey,
not
but
offer
that did not happen. That
Yeah.
is,
I
again, a
think
narrative that was put out there.
And Tommy, I don't know where you saw that, but I would disagree with that number.
Okay.
Just because of what I've been told.
I would say whatever the number was, it was significantly less and less years, and there was no personal services like as a responsible human being
Yeah.
in today's world, let's just acknowledge there was no effing way that he could have taken any other deal
Well, and look-
that we know of. I mean that's an all-timer,
And-
and
and
it went
To-
and it
Yeah.
went down horrifically for the Angels.
Tommy made the
but-
appropriate point, though, too, that Pujols' presence is still felt in this city to this day because of off-field stuff he does. In ways,
lives here.
being able to take more money allows you that versatility to be able to do things like that in a city that you used to be. That
Also, do you blame him?
I don't know.
Oh
I
my
don't. I
God,
don't get.
no. I don't.
No, not with the way sports are run.
Yeah.
I will take the
Right.
player's side almost every time. You're not gonna
Yeah.
see me taking ownership side a whole lot when there's the money to be put. Like you pay your workers. I
Right.
mean, right?
I know, and
I-
Tommy did mention about generalizing. And to that point, you're right, Tommy. I'm never one to say that don't have fun. If that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. And he deserved. People, I believe, genuinely want to show love to Albert Pujols in St. Louis this weekend. So you are correct. That was a generalization. I guess my overall point was that we only hear about, at least on a mainstream level, where it's talked about nationally, we only use that time to talk about St. Louis when the sporting franchises are doing well. So why not still use that same energy, as you pointed out, to point out the art scene and film scene and television scene and comedy scene and other scenes that are also prominent? Why not notables like Matt Seaback or other personalities who live in and around St. Louis that have tons of followers? Why aren't they trumpeting those things? You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
it's
So
But
if you
it's
can
I think
trumpet what's going on with a multi-million-dollar baseball player, couldn't you also highlight the amazing talent, the up and coming talent that moves to New York and moves to LA that are comedians and actors and television writers out of St. Louis? Couldn't you use that also to bring attention to the scene? Why isn't that energy spread to that as well?
Well, and I think my argument with that is sports is way more in the mainstream than stand-up comedy.
yeah.
Like we
It's
just
I was
had
going to
a
say NPR is probably doing a spotlight right now on a comic or something.
we
The-
just had a
and
comic.
also how we digest the information.
Yeah.
Like look at us personally, where we look for
Okay,
entertainment.
I'll give you that.
It's just going to be different, and like each one of
Okay.
us is going to take that information differently where we look for entertainment. So it's Tommy's right in saying that sports has. I mean, there's a sports page. Yeah, there's an entertainment entertainment section, but
Not,
it's kind of
not
more
with
broad,
eight,
and it's
not with
not
eight
like-
reporters on
yeah,
it.
it's not. And by the way, let me point this out too. I don't want to let this go by. I don't know if you read Derek Gould's piece yesterday on Pujols and the trade that almost was at the 2000 trade
Yeah,
deadline.
yes, that was good.
What a fantastic breakdown of a myth that has been circulating around the ballpark for years, and still a lot of it is myth. But Derek found a lot of the players involved, by players I mean executive scouts and literally players, and got their reaction and what they remember that was happening at the moment at that trade deadline when the Cardinals, one of two, Albert Pujols was one of two players that was asked for in a trade, and it wasn't him that went, it was another person that went. But what a great piece by Derek in Sunday's paper. I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't, just check it out. Derek tweeted it out on Twitter, all that good stuff. So overall, I really enjoyed the homecoming, but I can't disagree with there is some self-congratulatory stuff happening.
Yeah, and it's
with the people you're thinking, and that'll happen with anything. You're
Yeah,
gonna always
and
pat
it's-
yourself on the back.
to me it's not and it's not the stuff that's happening now. It's like I said, give it 3 years. Let's wait 3 because here's what's you're gonna be in a bar, sitting at that bar stool. Hey, a Cubs fan's gonna walk in and they're gonna talk about the reception they gave. Like if Javi Baez left the Cubs and came back, I'm pretty sure Cubs fans would treat him the same way, or like Anthony Rizzo.
Rizzo's maybe
Anthony
more
Rizzo
comparable.
definitely comes
Yeah.
to mind. If Rizzo ever left, because he's the guy that was
'Cause
part of the Cubs when they were trash,
I have-
and he was the face of the team when they won
Yeah.
the World Series. Yes,
He was like the first guy they went after to
Mhm.
fix
to
things.
turn it
Yes.
around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I think Javi Baez will be there eventually.
sure, I agree.
But like I had people, I mean, would this happen in another city? And I'm like, well, yeah. Like if David
Yeah.
Ortiz had left,
When he went back to Minnesota.
yeah, and
you
come
know,
back
many-
to, like they were, yeah, he'd be well received in Boston.
Look at what
So-
Chicago Bulls did for Derrick Rose. Look at what the Yankees do for their players. Look at what the Dodgers do for their players. Like, it's silly to think that St. Louis is the only place in the world that appreciates people who have given back to their communities, and
decade plus.
that's really annoying. That's really annoying
It's
when other
insulated
cities
thinking.
do the exact same thing. It is very insulated.
To the point of, I guess, back to what Tommy was saying about the arts or whatever else too.
Mhm.
We just really do have to focus on the fact that we're in separate. We only go into certain silos of stuff, and sports is so
Yes.
in your face. Baseball's got 160.
It's so easy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
easy, but
too.
I guess the only time people want to trumpet the city, it feels like, at least on the national level, that it's only done when the sports teams are doing well, not when major concerts or major festivals or major startups and major businesses are, plopping in St. Louis. The only time the notables on the media, social media, and just take that for what you will, who really trumpet St. Louis, they do it when the Blues or the Cardinals are doing well. And that's proven. I look at a tweet right now of someone who's an alderman in the metro area. Hopefully those outside the STL will have a better understanding of what goes on here. This is what they're attributing to national stories on the PGA Championship, the St. Louis Blues run, and Albert's return. Like, for you to put that much emphasis into sports and how it directly affects everyone's day-to-day lives is so naive and out of touch.
But I think
You know what sucks
but
is
I
if we
think
had our stuff in a pile, then we wouldn't care. Like, it's fine. I think we should all get to celebrate the sports side of it, but it sucks because it appears because we have our other stuff that's really disorganized, messed up, and horrific at times. It sucks because we don't get to celebrate the icing that we're putting on the cake.
Yeah.
Is what you guys are kind of saying, right? Where it's like, wait a sec, you
I
shouldn't
think
not celebrate
Abby
sports.
said it on last Friday. She said it perfectly. She was like, "Hey, we're celebrating this Stanley Cup, but also I know as a journalist, I have to keep a balance because literally just 6 hours prior, a young girl was gunned down in a drive-by."
Yeah.
So what I'm not saying that you cannot celebrate sports, but I think it's important to provide perspective. Sports can't move your city as much as you think it can. It can make your city excited for the moment. It can bring out deep rooted traditions and passions, but that doesn't drive your city. So stop saying to the world that this is St. Louis. No, it's not. It's a snapshot. Let's stop kidding ourselves. It's a snapshot. Stop making it bigger than what it is.
And the tweet you referenced, though, I think there's reality to that, though, is part of it. Like, because you're saying it yourself right there. Stop being that identity, but the reality is that identity is there. So it's breaking away from that some, and I don't have an answer on how to do that.
Yeah, and that's the problem too.
Sorry.
Yep. Well, we'll try and figure it out on this podcast. You know who can
I don't
help
know
us
if you knew
figure
this,
out a lot of
Gardner,
things?
but the first 2 days we started this program, Chris and I figured out sexism and racism. Back-to-back nights, solved them both. You're welcome.
Within 3 months of the program, our talking made it to the New York Times. So
you fixed racism.
F any of you
I'll
guys
let Candace
think
Owens
differently.
go. You're welcome, Chevs.
You know who would help this situation? St. Louis Counseling Services. They've been improving lives since 1955. They also have a podcast with Tom Duff, executive director. He speaks to folks of business, sports, motivation. They're here for you. They break down the mental illness stigma on mental health matters each and every week. But back to St. Louis Counseling, you can check out stlouiscounseling.org. You can call them today, 314-544-3800, or just send them an email, support@stlouiscounseling.org. They've got counseling services, school partnership programs, employee assistance programs. They're here. They're here for you, St. Louis. That's right. They can help you put things together at a very, very, very effective rate. Guys, thank you again to St. Louis Counseling Services for working with us. So overall, a good thing for the weekend.
It's a good weekend. It was a good weekend. Those are the only things I specifically wanted to point out. And look, I get very giddy when I see St. Louis athletes do very well. Jason Tatum's of the world, Brad Beals of the world, when those guys go off and they pursue their dreams, even the Kachuk family, all their sons that go off and do well in the NHL, I think that's really cool. But I also get the same satisfaction and enjoyment out of seeing companies that start here in St. Louis and blossom into national names. I love seeing, when we hear about comedians, we hear about the Conveys of the world. They go out to California and they produce for major TV shows. Like, I love hearing those stories, and I wish we would trumpet that in the same vein as we do perhaps sports here in St. Louis. I think we can match that same energy. I think that's what really can make a city great.
Legitimate question, and maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot here because I love the flow that's going here. Personally, do you go to Twitter when you're excited, right, Travis? Do you feel like you share that kind of stuff like you do sports things? No. I would categorically say no, you don't. And I'm not trying to make it personal, but I am kind of.
No, go ahead.
No, so you're not going to take to the streets and be like, so-and-so signed it. I mean, that's not a good example. You're maybe not going to trumpet it like you would and have an ongoing conversation if when the Cortex adds on 5 new businesses. Not saying you wouldn't retweet an article and say,
let's do
that's
that
great.
From now on then. What if that became us?
That could be our thing. That could be our
thing.
Let's do it. Positivity Patrol, which I'm down with and is a very good thing, but I'm just saying the general public, it's not going to create as much insight and information just because it's not as fun to be like, hey, they hit a dinger. Like, I get that part.
Oh, I get it. I see what you're saying. No, but I guess I'm thinking about overall quality of life. And I think what provides the better return or the most on your return. I
For sure.
think it is very cool to go down to Busch Stadium and cheer on the home team. I've been cheering for the Cardinals since I was 4 years old. I love it. I love what it's done for the city. That's great. Now imagine if we take some of that passion and excitement and we improve quality of life around us. Wouldn't that extend that level of satisfaction that we seek? Wouldn't that bring more direct enjoyment to the way we live our lives? And we know we can walk
I'll
down
tell you.
safer
Yeah, but
streets,
are you
when we know
gonna?
our kids can go to better schools? Can't we also, when we know that there will be jobs waiting for us out of college, can't we also still exercise that same excitement and energy towards those as well?
Because that takes energy, that takes foresight, and that takes time and patience. So I'm going to say no
Are you?
because people want instant gratification and they want
Okay, there
something
we
that
go.
impacts them personally. They can immediately
Yes,
be
there
impacted
it is.
personally by a baseball game or a hockey game or a football game or a
But
basketball
not
game.
everybody cares.
I know, Tommy,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it's right.
I-
I'm not telling you what's right or wrong.
That's why the
I'm telling you
Simpsons-
what is.
The Simpsons
We
taught
are
us
the worst.
this already.
People are the worst. That's what we're learning.
The
Thank you.
Simpsons
No, that's what
taught
we
us
Thank
this
you,
with
learned.
Mark McGuire in the thing. Everything gets exposed, and he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna hit some dingers." Everybody just looks away from all the problems.
Okay, yeah.
That's how it
that's
goes.
good.
That's who we are.
So-
And you know what? As
But I
somebody,
mean, I think Tommy, I kind of want to make it relatable to Tommy because I think Tommy is timid to jump in here because it's sports. But I'll try
Yes.
to find maybe an avenue that's comfortable for you. I think there are times where we romanticize someone to a point where it can jeopardize what we truly stand for. For example, Louis C.K. Louis C.K. before Me Too was the most highly touted, respected comedian in the industry. And everyone who attached themselves to Louis C.K. attached themselves to the Louis C.K. brand. And then all of a sudden, word comes out that Louis C.K. is a perv, a creep, an asshole. And so now those people, they're going to have to start putting their relationships with other comedians and Louis C.K. into perspective. What I'm saying is, let's have perspective. Let's say I love Louis C.K. for his comedy and stop attaching yourself to who the brand is and who the person is. Because when you do that, you're leaving yourself to be disappointed each and every time. And I think we lionize sports too much in our society when we know there are horrific things that are going on outside of our door. I'm not saying no, don't be happy. I'm saying stop lionizing it. Stop making, what do they say on 40-year-old version? Stop putting the pussy on the pedestal. Like, let's calm down. Let's bring it down to eye to eye. Let's put everything into perspective. Stop making something out bigger than what it really
Was
is.
not expecting that.
I mean, if you're gonna
Was
quote,
not expecting that.
if you're gonna quote 40-year-old virgin, I'm gonna quote our idol Rust Cole. I think human consciousness is a tragic misstep in evolution. Do you want me to keep going? We became too aware. Nature created an aspect of nature separate from itself. We're creatures that should not exist by natural law. We are things that
Because aliens helped us.
we are things that labor under the illusion of having a self, an accretion of sensory experience and feeling, programmed with total assurance that we are each somebody, when in fact everybody is nobody. Maybe the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming, stop reproducing, walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters, opting out of a raw deal. And scene.
Okay.
I think that's the
That's
only way
good.
to end it.
That's what I was
I
listening
mean,
to.
stop putting pussy on a pedestal is kind of
I mean, we kind of said the same thing.
I think we just stop lionizing sports. That's my overall point, Tommy.
I
Stop
do
making
need-
sports to be the be all and all, the save cities and
Now-
save our souls.
Now
It's
let
not.
somebody attack LeBron's character and watch him lose his mind about all the good stuff that LeBron's done, Travis. Am I
No,
wrong?
I said, look, no, I defended Albert Pujols at every turn because I knew what he had given to the city. I knew what he had done in the community. So when he took the deal in Anaheim, I was disappointed, but I didn't hate the guy. The funny thing is, the vast majority of St. Louis hated the guy. The vast majority of St. Louis Cardinal fans hated the guy. So for them to now turn around and let's not pretend as if they were just the most gracious people when the guy decided to do what he thought was
Wait.
best for him and his family.
Wait, you're saying that at certain moments, at instances, people can be irrational and emotional.
There you go.
That can happen?
It is very possible.
Okay, I just...
And
Can
so
we also-
but
Okay.
that's why I think people just shouldn't lionize things because that is frankly irrational behavior.
Okay.
I'd like to also state that let's call this what it is too. It's for the it does. So if you have an attractive mate and they take another opportunity, and maybe you weren't keeping yourself to the standards you said you would, or whatever, it hurts if they take off. It hurts if they take off. That I think I think Travis, what you're saying was there was a large. It was a vocal minority. They were super loud. I don't think the majority of people, if you earnestly spoke to them in the St. Louis area and laid out all the facts, would say, that sounds like a stupid decision, and I still hate it.
I'd have to go back and see if there was polling data from that time.
I think,
and then I'd have to ask who can vote in these things
Yeah,
as well.
right. Who
there's
has
a lot.
time
There's
at-
a lot of layers to try and figure out.
who
the
has
whole
time
deal.
at 1
Very
p.m.
true.
on a Tuesday to answer their rotary phone for the pollster. No, I think what you need to just admit or realize is that people got their feelings hurt, and they didn't like
Yeah.
the idea of having to look in the mirror and say, I'm sad that Elwood's not going up to bat for my Cardinals. Like, that's what they were dealing
Is
with.
that a good voice, Tommy? Yeah.
Oh, wow. That Rust Cole quote got him down. But I think that's what you were dealing with as well, that people aren't willing to embrace the true sadness that they had with a baseball player taking a bad
Right.
deal.
It was, but I think even if you look at some of the messages people have said about the Blues run and the Alberts return, is they always end it with "F you, Stan Kroenke."
I mean,
What
I think
does
that's a
one have to
joke.
do with the other? But no, I don't. Well, maybe I don't know.
I think
But it
depends on
feels
who
as
says
if
it.
that in order for you to celebrate something, it's always to spite something else. That's not how it works. You
No,
should
that's
be
how spite
genuinely
works.
happy. Well, yeah, that's how spite works. But you
I
should
know that very
genuinely
well.
be happy because you're happy. You should be happy because the Blues won. You should be happy because Albert's back and all the great memories he brought. It shouldn't because Stan Kroenke in a business letter to try to enhance a real estate deal talk bad about your city sports scene. Like that shouldn't. That one thing doesn't have to do with the other. And for St. Louisans, like you make one slight against the city. And it's to Chris's point, people are so afraid to look in the mirror that when you acknowledge it, people get so offensive. They get so sensitive. Instead of just getting concerned about the issue at hand, they get so worried that someone in another city said something so bad about them. That's their biggest concern. That's silly to me.
To take this another direction real quick, I needed to acknowledge Michael Gaines, former producer of this show, because he tweeted at me and pointed something out that is extremely accurate for those that understand. It was in particular to the home run call from Dan McLaughlin on Pujols' home run on Saturday. Now, listen here.
And the 2-1 pitch to Albert Pujols. Albert hits it a ton out to deep left. He gave us 11 years of memories we'll never forget. He's just given us another.
Now, Michael Gaines very accurately pointed out to me that had a lot of Jim Nantz in that call. A lot of Jim
Yeah, it
Nantz.
did.
If you listen to the tone.
Very scripted.
I think it's even the tone in which it's said and the rhythm in the way he talked, that it was very Nance-esque in there.
He gave us 11 years, and now he just gave us another, like that.
It's just here. Remember
Yeah.
that clip. Remember
Yeah.
that intonation
Uh-huh.
and that rhythm. After the show, Tommy, I'm going to show you a couple clips of Jim Nantz, who I like, but I like to make fun of Nantz. He has things we call Nantzisms, where he will use puns in a way for final calls on events, or come up with something ahead of time to say to make sure he puts his mark
Open that
on it.
cage. It looks like Tiger. Roars again.
Yeah, so it's something, but we can play the back to
Yeah,
back
we'll-
for you so you can
talk
understand a little
later.
more. Yes. So, but I needed to point out
good.
the tone and the rhythm there.
agree.
Definitely, I kind of smiled when I saw that. I'm like, you know what? Dan probably even jokingly did that for himself as well. Like I can most certainly see that.
Is Tommy playing Pokemon Go?
Nope.
We got a good Pokemon Go story from the
Oh
weekend.
yeah.
Oh my God.
I saw a domestic dispute over Pokemon this weekend.
Hey, is something going on where it's fired back up? Because, and maybe it's just the weather,
summer.
or I'm paying attention
It's
to
summer.
you because of you said it. I see little packs of nerds everywhere now, and they are rocking and rolling around that park.
It's not only summer, but it's also they just put out the Harry Potter game.
Oh,
That
no.
works just about the same.
Oh.
Which it's not as good.
Do you like how Tommy was despondent and ready to jump off a cliff 5 seconds ago? You say Pokemon.
I still
and
am.
he just-
We're not out of the woods
Yeah,
yet.
right.
No. I'm still annoyed with Travis. I think that he's
Hey, 12 years, buddy. Get used to it.
really before
I'm
we
about to
move
say,
on.
ask Damon
14
about
years.
that.
Before we move on, this year Flyover is going to have its third year. A great comic was just on the Risk podcast, which is a national podcast.
Oh, we had him on our showcase
and it
last
was
weekend.
amazing. And he's also releasing an album next year. And another comic from St. Louis just had a thing on Comedy Central. So I'm going to leave it at that, and then that's it. That's all I got to say. There's good things.
get-
Okay,
Pubs in-
and to that
happening
point, I
other-
want the same people who showed all that energy going down to downtown St. Louis to check out the parade and every Blues game that they showed during the playoffs. I want them to have that same energy for Flyover to support local comics.
And I
That's
want
the
you to
point.
have the same energy to other stuff, but I know you
I
won't.
Oh, God.
The people who care about comedy,
Here it goes.
Literally
people-
start a show that showcases St. Louis comics. Doesn't showcase Travis, doesn't showcase Chris, literally
you're
putting
saying-
other comedians on.
8:48.
Literally putting other comedians
We
on.
got
So you're
nasty.
saying if
Chris
it doesn't,
Chris didn't hire you because he thought you were smart or cute around the office and you had the nicest outfits. He hired you because he thought you were funny and a comic.
And I
so the
am.
idea that I wouldn't and this program wouldn't support
And I am.
comedians in St. Louis is not only hysterical, you should apologize to Mrs. Gregory, Mama Denman, and all the people who have had to sacrifice over the last 3.5 years
No.
just for their two dumbass sons to put other comedians in their city on.
no. All right. I'm not going to do that.
What was I going to say?
I'm not gonna do that.
8:48. The show.
If it doesn't involve you, you don't care. That's what I just gathered.
If
from
it
that.
doesn't
If
involve
sports doesn't
me-
involve you, you don't like it. You
Chris,
just proved
I was
all of my
doing
points.
stand-up 2 years before we started doing radio. Literally, we start doing shows, live shows, programs centered around comedians. At what point did Travis put himself front and center?
I mean, daily.
But you can't. Okay, but
I'm messing with you.
my
man.
point is, you can't sit there and go, well, these other people need to show the same amount of respect for comedy.
Yes,
as they do
I
sports
can.
if
You know
you're
why,
not gonna
Tommy?
do the
Because I
same
lived
thing.
in St. Louis.
Alright.
I was born and raised there.
I'm not gonna
Everyone
change your mind,
else
you're not gonna change
literally
mine.
everyone else transports to St. Louis, and then unless the Cardinals and Blues are doing well, it's a shitty city. That's bullshit. That
Here-
people only want to talk about the good of the city
I'm
once
agreeing
something
with you.
well goes on.
Why are you
So
guys just
that's what
wanna
I'm
argue
saying.
so
So
bad?
why?
Yeah.
So why do you want to argue with me for wanting
Here's
to put
why.
comedians on,
Here's
put
why.
actors on, television, other people on outside of sports in St. Louis?
Which is why
Because-
this show is great.
Because for
This
45
is why I love you, damn
because
it.
for 45 minutes no one was yelling. That's why we're doing this right
Yep,
now.
that's- you guys
we
are-
got
yep,
uncomfortable.
yep.
We didn't know what to do.
Yep. Oh,
and we just
yeah.
started shit to start shit because now we have to
Yeah,
do
we
it like
did.
this.
Right.
So I'm going to yell at you assholes.
Oh, boy.
And I want Blues fans to admit, you only feel comfortable in downtown St. Louis if you're partying with drunk white people like you were at the parade.
It's very true. Is what I'm getting at.
Stay away from the state streets.
Look
Where
at
were
us.
you, Virginia?
We
Oh
didn't-
my
we didn't-
God!
You know what happens
Utah.
on the
I
state
almost
streets.
bought a house on Virginia at one point. You fucking asshole.
Real St. Louis.
Real,
St. Louis.
real quick,
St.
I can
Louis.
get my ass
Oh,
beat on Grand just as easy as I can on Arkansas, okay?
Very true.
I mean, you can just get your ass
Very
beat,
true.
period.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Rocchio
But no, it's
chiming
just it's
in
the
saying
same people.
he now
It's the
feels
same people who
comfortable,
say,
Travis.
Chris.
Travis, Matt Rocchio has chimed in, our good friend, former voice
What'd he
on
say?
the show at 590, would run our board, and then he would make himself the sixth voice, but he would be the strongest sixth voice you ever heard in your damn life. I love Rocchio.
We should have Rocchio in just for him
just
and
to
Travis
scream
to
at
argue.
each other. Yes. God, I love Rocchio.
We did. We
Rocchio
did do
is
that
so
one time,
great.
but go
And
ahead.
he just says he feels comfortable now that people are screaming again.
Yeah.
That's a guy who sat there and watched our idiot show for
Like,
Yeah,
we're
anyway.
sitting there like, what are we doing?
like-
What are we doing with our
our,
lives?
excuse me, our intern wants to take control. Go ahead.
So yeah, that's right. I'm gonna stop the screaming. I feel like I'm with my dad. So I was playing Pokemon.
The one from Lowe's?
No, that was my mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this.
Well, I
this
thought you were
Hey.
looking for. I thought you were looking for father figures at
No,
Lowe's.
they. Oh,
Okay.
God.
is this the story?
This is the story.
Okay. Tommy told me this over the weekend.
I sent a text to Gardner. I was doing this thing called a raid in Pokemon Go. It's where-
Oh no.
Just listen, okay? Just listen. It's not as terrible as you think.
Remind me to go back to a comment from Marcus in the
Okay.
in the comments.
So in Pokemon Go, you got these things called raids. A bunch of players get together and they fight a large Pokemon with like high HP, and you try to get it down so you can catch it. It's normally a
Okay.
legendary.
So where was this taking place?
This was taking place in front of a church, which makes the story a little bit better.
Oh boy.
He's gone.
In Granite.
In Granite, yeah.
Okay.
He left because he doesn't want to hear about Pokemon. I get it. So we're all sitting in front of this church, and we all go in. All right. And
Inside the church.
No, we all go inside the raid,
Okay.
and we're all sitting around.
In the so there's like a virtual thing. So
Yes.
10 feet that way, there's a raid happening on your game.
Yes, yeah.
But
you can-
physically, on
there's
ground.
nothing physically
I get it,
happening,
but you
you
have
can
to
go
move-
inside in your
get it.
game. So I'm just gonna go back to what I told Gardner because I think it's funny. So this guy was playing, and his wife interrupts him, and he goes off on her, like
We like called her. He was there. If she was there.
she was with us because you have to be there, and he starts going off on her, and he calls her a bunch of names and stuff.
Like, listen, you wizard puff. Like, is that?
No, he did
Uh,
not call her
What he
that.
called her?
Oh.
Can I say the
What did he
word?
call
Is
her?
it
Why don't we just say?
Censor
see you
it.
next Tuesday?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
He
that's-
called her the.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
called her the big word, and they start going
Oh,
back and
no.
forth, and like it's getting heated.
Wait. So Tommy's texting
And this
me
is all in the middle of a Pokemon raid.
Yeah,
It's all
it's
during
a
a Pokemon raid.
Pokemon raid. I told you this was a good one, Travis. A guy in the middle of a bleeping Pokemon raid gets upset at
Okay,
his
now you
wife.
got my attention.
So this guy is trying to catch a giant whale, which is basically what the Pokemon is. Trying to this giant
Also
whale.
could be doubling as his wife. I don't know.
You gotta wait for the end here, though.
He's smoking a cigarette. he's tapping and smoking. He's yelling at his wife. The wife's yelling back. And the way the wife ended it, she goes, "You know, you wouldn't even be playing this game if I didn't pay the phone bill."
Oh.
That's. And then I just, my window was down, and I was
That's
just kind of
outstanding.
watching. I was like, "Ooh, that was good."
Because Tommy's telling me this, I'm like, he called her what? And kept yelling at her, and I'm like, okay, like
Like, it
my,
got-
my thing is like, did someone need to call the cops? Because this guy
It
seems
got
kind of
really
aggressive.
intense.
But I said, how did she respond? And then Tommy told me, and I'm like, oh, she's got this.
This
Yeah,
is
I'm
how-
like, she good.
This is how I
Yeah, she
imagine
did.
this is how they correspond every day.
Yeah.
If he's getting upset about a game, but people really do get that upset about this game. When Pokemon first came out, you can pick your team. You can pick Valor, Instinct, or Mystic. And
What? Who?
you can pick 3 different teams: Valor, Instinct, and Mystic.
That's our poll question tomorrow. Are you Team Valor, Instinct, or Mystic?
well, if you choose Instinct. Anyway,
I got
Team
a segment idea. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm Team Valor, right? But people used to get in fights on street corners in Granite over the teams they were on.
Can you make them fight?
Can
so
I
we
make
get some
that my
video?
Great American
I
raid
don't-
for the rest of the year?
It doesn't get that bad anymore.
Careful
but there
now.
was,
There's plenty of black
there some
folks.
bros in there, Chris?
Oh, I'm
Is it?
sure.
but
Granted.
but I once saw a guy get his nose broken over Pokemon Go. It was right outside the library. It was great.
Oh my god.
Someone punched him.
Did he
Yeah.
fall? Or did someone
Yeah,
punch him?
so-
Was it a good piece up? Or
Was it a
just
raid?
like-
Was it during a raid? Because it can get
Yeah.
crazy.
No.
Right.
So what was
Was
going
it the
on?
Tommy uppercut?
Yeah.
No.
Show us, please.
Nah.
Come on, show us.
Anyway,
There we go.
so
Plot twist. I broke his nose.
so there's this little square in Granite. It's the downtown square. We got a movie theater, a library.
Granite City, Illinois.
Yeah, we got a movie theater, it's crackheads all over. Movie theater,
Oh.
a library, city hall, and a park all right next to each other. And so what you can do is you can make a little circle around there, and you can spin Pokestops, which is how you get items and experience.
Yeah, of course.
It's just so when the game
Jesus
first came
Christ.
out and there was hundreds of people playing, you'd have like 40 people walking around these squares, and and it was fun. And one night there was this guy and this other guy, and one was on Team Valor and one was on Team Mystic. and they got into it.
So what was their argument about?
No. Valor and Mystic, they dance at 2 p.m. at Roxy's over on Brooklyn. Come on, man. You're all mixed up here.
I think my dad probably knows it.
I see that.
Anyway,
Yeah, they got a good steak
So
sandwich.
you were
Anyway.
you getting Pokemon at stage 3? Is this what I'm hearing here?
I've never been there, so I don't
Okay.
get the joke, but I want to. So
There's
so
a
they're
something.
walking around, and
Poor
they,
guy.
this guy who's from Valor and Mystic, they start going back and forth, and like you get like
So what's the trash talk like while they're arguing?
your team sucks.
Good question.
Yeah.
Your
What do
team sucks.
It's like Mets Yankees.
yeah.
Okay.
There's no
you,
real.
you act like you got a big Excalibur sword plus
Yeah.
7 when you're really working with a dagger minus 2.
Yeah, it's basically
right?
That's
Jeter
D&D,
sucks.
buddy.
Well, it works.
It's
So-
Jeter sucks or Donez sucks kind of argument here is what I'm
So the guy on Mystic, I guess he gets tired of it. He's like he's got his phone in one hand, and I assume he's catching a Pokemon. And he takes his hand and he just like into this other guy's nose, and he knocks him on the ground, and his like nose is
But
all
it wasn't
bleeding.
even like a it was like a yeah.
It was
like
like
a
a
back
really
away?
hard. But it was enough
like a
to knock this-
backhand.
Yeah, but it was
So
enough.
wait,
do
he
you
broke
think
the
he-
guy's nose while catching the Pokemon?
Yeah, it was like a backhand
Wow,
punch.
that's pretty badass.
But it was
huh?
enough that it knocked this guy on his back, and then he like. That's when my mom was like, "All right, time to go."
Oh man, both white guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
they looked exactly how you think they do.
Oh man. So are we giving the guy credit for connecting?
No,
Yeah, it was totally
it was
a
over
fluke.
Pokemon.
It was a fluke, wasn't it?
He was trying to catch a Zubat and got a little too excited.
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
happen with those
We are
Zubats.
doing a new segment tomorrow where you come up with. We have to find an alternative that's funny, and it's going to be Pokemon names or businesses.
You want me to just
and
create some
where's
Pokemon?
it? Where's Pokemon created?
Yeah, it should be Pokemon
Niantic,
names. It should be
uh,
Pokemon names because I didn't. You said Zubat. I didn't know that was a thing. Like,
Yeah,
did
did you
anyone
not play the
like
original
just let
Pokemon
him roll
games?
with that?
Don't say it like he's a
No,
dork
no.
for
I
not
played it one
playing the
time.
No.
Yeah.
What is that? Not
Right.
Did you not see Detective Pikachu?
You're the loser in this situation.
You just turned into an arrogant sports fan
Yep,
with your
that's
damn
how it goes.
Pokemon.
I didn't get up.
You
I
guys
don't want to
pick,
hear from you anymore,
Where
Mr.
does
Mosslander.
Where does
Tommy,
Pokemon
beef
come
everywhere.
from?
What do you mean?
Where's
where-
it created? What?
It was created in Japan.
Japan.
It
Then we
was-
need
yeah.
Japanese businesses or Pokemon character names.
Do you want me to just
I
create
feel like
a
this
bunch
is
of Pokemon?
borderline
I can-
racist as hell.
No, but like, see, here's why it's
Travis
not.
Strell on brand per
Here's,
usual.
here's the thing: if you just create the Pokemon names, it's not necessarily racist because now I think some of it gets made in the U.S.
Created.
Some of it gets made in the U.S. and also the Pokemon names aren't Japanese a lot of the times, and also
Okay.
Pokemon doesn't take place on this planet. So
Oh,
See what
It
I meant
takes
by
place-
racist as hell? That's what I
it-
was. That was what I was alluding to.
What if I said?
It
What if
takes
it
just
place-
can't
was? What if
assume
it
a
was
Pokemon
Swiss?
name is
How about-
Japanese?
it takes place
I
in
bet
the
a
Kanto
majority of
region.
ours would say it was
Assume
made
it's a
there.
funny name. Come on,
It takes
man.
place
Just
in the
because they made a
Kanto
funny
region,
name, mean it took
the
place in
Johto
Texas,
region, the
doesn't it?
Sinnoh region.
Japanese can take care of themselves.
I'm trying to think of the other regions.
We'll-
There's like 6 of them now.
We'll figure it out. How about that? We'll figure it out.
I need to say this. I had a comment from Marcus I really wanted to read, and he was going off in the comments for Travis. Give me just a second.
Oh.
And Marcus, Travis, you need to be
Marcus.
nice to Marcus. Boston, Darian, Marcus, Soulardians, be nice to him because he could do some damage for you.
What happened?
He's a good ally to have.
You got to catch me first. You got to catch me.
No,
first.
I'm saying team up with Marcus. He's a good teammate to have because you ain't
What did he
stopping
say?
Marcus. He wants people to keep the same energy when it's money talk for the public schools and tax base in St. Louis as well. I think that echoes your sentiment.
Yeah, especially if you're going to brag. If you're going to be the one doing the bragging, it's like when Americans say we're the greatest country ever. Well, what are you willing to do to ensure that? And if you're going to sit up here and say St. Louis has turned the corner because they won a Stanley Cup, what else are you willing to do to ensure that St. Louis continues to turn that corner? Because that's just only a small part. Are you willing to commit yourself to the full turnaround? Are you willing to commit that same energy, at least, to some type of turnaround outside of sports? That's the bigger question I have.
Of course they are.
We'll see.
They are not?
Rocchio wasn't sure if when I spoke he should be upset or happy about his contributions formerly on the show. Guys, we'll take a break. It's been a very fun first hour. If you missed any of it, you can go back and download it on iTunes. You can watch the video on Facebook. Be sure to share. And if you haven't yet, if you're subscribed on iTunes, if you're not, throw us a review. We love those 5 stars. Helps us out in the search function quite a bit. Huge thanks to everybody for tuning in for the first hour. We're going to get Gardner a menthol. We'll be back for hour number 2 right after this.
I'm going to evolve a Pokemon.